the way it works is we have some kind of pathogen, and the macrophages, they're just kind of eating everything, right? So this macrophage eats up a pathogen, and it finds a helper T cell, and then they communicate with these chemicals and whatnot, and he says, hey, look what I found, basically. I found this thing, and I don't know if it's bad or good or whatever. And so basically the macrophage and the T cell, the helper T cell, kind of talk about it and say, yeah, I think this is harmful, let's attack it. So the helper T cell goes, and it activates two different things, depending on what's going on, but typically both. So it's going to, for viruses especially, it's going to go in and it's going to activate the B cells. When the B cells become activated, they divide. So we get a lot more B cells. And most of the B cells, they're just going to start making antibodies. You get the idea. Okay? And those antibodies are going to go out and they're going to go attack the bacteria. Some of the B cells stay behind, and these end up being memory B cells. So they're not going to attack right now. Their job is they're not going to really get involved in this battle. But let's say we get rid of this pathogen, and a year later, let's say we get the chickenpox, and a year later, chickenpox virus is exposed to us again, right? The memory B cell says, oh, hey, I already remember that from last time. It doesn't need a helper T cell anymore. We already remember that pathogen. And so this one immediately starts to do what that one did, and divide and produce antibodies and make more memory cells.
Okay, so the cytotoxic T cells attack what?
So same thing happens so we get the helper T cell activates the cytotoxic T cell. Cytotoxic T cell divides, right? Most of them become activated. Some stay behind as memory cells, just like over here. But the way that cytotoxic T cells work is, let's say this is a bacteria over here. Okay? Or not, sorry, take that back. That's one of our own body cells. So this is one of the cells that's on my throat. Let's say I've got strep throat. And, well, that doesn't really make sense because that's bacterial. Scratch that. I've got a virus. Let's say I've got the flu virus. And so this particular cell is infected with the flu virus. So inside of this, I've got all sorts of little viruses growing inside my cell. The virus came in and it took it over. Cytotoxic T cells, their job is they recognize, so when a virus takes over a cell, it changes the cell surface markers. And so now this cell does not look like the others. It doesn't look like the rest of our cells. It has a different...
The virus cell?
Uh-huh. It has a different ID tag on it now.
Because of the T cell?
Because of the virus. The virus did it. So the way viruses work is they come into our own cells, inject their DNA into our cells, and basically they take our DNA, put their DNA inside of it, and they make our proteins replicate the DNA to make more new viruses. So one virus comes in and it turns our cell against us to become a virus-producing factory.
So how do the T cells fight?
So cytotoxic T cells are called that because they come over, they inject a toxin into the cytoplasm. Cytotoxic.
Of the virus?
Of our virus-infected cell.
Okay.
And that, if you want to think of it, blows up the cell. It destroys that cell. So they're like the Special Forces bomb squad.
And these are all specific ones?
Yeah, this is all the third wall, specific internal defenses.
Okay, so what are the non-specific ones?
So non-specific, we have macrophages. and neutrophils, which work very similar. They're phagocytes. We have basophils and mast cells that cause inflammation. So inflammation is a secondary or a second wall defense. Fever is second wall. What does fever do?
Raises the whole body's temperature. So
Mhm.
it's just like anxiety.
Yeah, so something about a lot of studies are saying now that fever, by raising that temperature just a little bit, it makes our immune system more effective.